Hey, I'm Evil, and today I am ranking all of the elites in Spire 2 from the easiest to the hardest, because I feel like this is a pretty interesting idea here. In total, there are 12 elites in this game, and in all of the different acts there are 3 of them, and in Act 1 there's alternatives, so 6 in total. And I guess, without beating around the bush, I feel like the number 12 elite, the easiest one to face, is without a doubt Infested Prism. Like, this enemy feels very rarely like a threat. It has a positive effect for you, where you hit it and you get an energy. Of course, in exchange it does hit the hardest out of the Act 3 or Act 2 elites rather, but I've never felt like it was actually that dangerous, and I've never felt like I was going to lose a run to it. It was kinda just, there. It sometimes did damage to me, it's definitely an elite, but it is the easiest one. Ranked at the 11th place, I have the Skull King Colony. I've been playing the beta on my channel. I don't know if it's the public videos yet, but anyway, it is a little bit funny how this guy went from the easiest elite in the game to the hardest elite in the game to easy again in a week. But right now in the beta, he can only take 15 damage per hit, and he doesn't give the dazes. So I feel like 11th place is a fair spot for him. I've always taken a little bit of damage from him, but less than before, and I think he is the easiest elite in Act 1 now. In 10th place I have the Entomaner, and I think this is kind of a controversial take, because it is very annoying to face him. Like, you need to plan around like how many dazes you can get, and if you've got like draw cards for example, you can do something like use your mini attacks and then use your draw card to draw the dazes away, and then you still have a good turn next turn. So you can do things to mitigate the effects of this guy. And if you have any alternative damage, like, he is just a pushover. Like, his damage is pretty high, it's not low, but you can usually kinda just full block this guy, and he doesn't have that much HP either. So I feel like going against him is pretty manageable. The 9th hardest is definitely the Birdon Effici. I feel like the first 4 are very clear to me. I feel like this statue is very nice in that it doesn't attack you in the first 2 turns. It's a little bit similar to the giant head in Spire 1, but this time it only gives you 2 turns of relaxing and doesn't give you any status effects. But if you cannot finish the fight in 3 turns, so that is your first turn where it is not attacking, your second turn where it is not attacking, or your third turn before it can attack, you are going to be in trouble, because this thing hits the hardest in Act 1. For sure, every single turn on Ascension 9, you get hit for 27 damage. So you need to take this thing out, or you need to have some absolutely incredible block game. You need to be like, I don't know, like a really good baseballer. Basketballer? I think it's a basketball. I don't really watch this stuff. Anyway, I wanted to make the reference. I think it is like a really dangerous elite, but most of the time you're going to go into this fight feeling, well, I'm going to block him, or alternatively, I'm going to take him out before he can attack me. So I feel like I'm pretty happy when I get him as an elite. The 8th hardest, I think, is the Mecca Knight. I feel like I might be overrating him a little bit in terms of like how difficult it is, but the artifact is very problematic, especially if you're doing something like poison with snake bites, for example. He attacks really hard when he attacks, but he only attacks every 3rd turn, and he gives you some status effects, but he uses the entire turn to give them into your hand. So you're not drawing the status effects, they're just there. Sometimes it messes up with your hand if you want to draw on that turn. And yeah, basically that's all he does. Like, he attacks really hard. He starts by hitting you for 25, then he gives you status effects, he buffs himself, and then he hits for 40. So usually you're going to be taking damage from him, but you aren't going to die to him. You want to take him out either on the 3rd turn or the 4th turn, so that you don't need to deal with the big hits. He's a little bit similar to the Birdon Effici in that the statue from Act 1. It's a very high damage fight, but most of the time you're not going to be taking damage, and when you see him, you're pretty happy in Act 3. I feel like usually he is the easiest of the Act 3 elites. The 7th hardest enemy I think is the Frog Parasite. This elite is very hard to rank because if you have the damage and some random AoE that you picked up, this is like the easiest elite in the game. Like the damage he does is very low at the start, and he's only doing damage every second turn. But if you have a more defensive or weak deck that would struggle, I mean it would struggle anyways, but against some of the other elites it would work a lot better. Like in that situation, this fight dragging longer is basically a death sentence, because you're going to be drawing a strike with a bunch of infections, strike with 4 infections, and you're going to be taking 30 damage and you cannot do anything. So you need to take this guy out before he can give you 2 sets of infections. Or in worst case, you need to take him out before he gives you 3 sets of 3 infections, because you're going to be losing at that point. So yeah, usually this is an easy fight, but it can get out of control so easily. I think you need to prepare for him. That's kinda what I think of him. Next up, in 6th place, I have Birdon. This big bird, it doesn't have that much HP, but you know, it does constant barrage of scaling attacks, and it's kinda similar to another elite that I'm going to be mentioning soon. And usually the Birdon does overwhelm my Act 1 deck. And now it doesn't have that much HP, so I'm not saying that this is like an extremely hard elite, but in the grassy areas, I feel like the Birdon is the most dangerous. Worst case scenario, you usually can kill it, but you know, there's no avoiding taking the damage. I feel like that's kinda like how I feel an elite is tough. Like most of the time, you take an elite, you're kinda scared you're gonna be worn out and you cannot upgrade your cards after, or maybe you sometimes straight up die. And the Birdon has an effect where every turn it gains 1 strength, and I believe that every other turn it does a multi-attack, a 3 times multi-attack. So you need to kill it very fast. Luckily it doesn't have that much HP, so yeah. Oh, by the way, it got buffed in the beta, so I've been playing against a slightly harder Birdon, which is very rough. In 5th place, I think the Decimillipede very justifiably takes the spot, because the Decimillipede, you need to kill all 3 segments at the same time, or with 1 turn of difference, or they respawn back at half HP. I believe they lose their buff, their strength buffs, so it could be worse. But it is a very annoying fight, and if you don't have a good way to deal with them, it can become an absolute pain, and you can easily get stuck in this fight, like permanently. Like you can kill 1, you can kill 2, but you cannot kill all 3 at the same time, and they keep on respawning, and it is horrible. The worst situation for this is a Doom deck. A Doom deck without any like proper AoE Doom, where you kill 1 of the centipedes first, and it respawns when the other 2 die to Doom, because the Doom happens at the end of their turn, so they have time to respawn, and then the 2 others die, and then you need to hit the 3rd one, and you need to kill it in 1 turn, or the other 2 are going to come back again. It is so unbearable, it can easily get you killed. However, on the other side, if you have ever tried going into this fight with some solid AoE, it is completely free. You can usually kill them in turn 1, because they don't have that much HP, you can kind of one-shot them. In 4th place, I think the Soul Nexus has to take this one. Like this enemy is another one that gives you a constant barrage of strong attacks. They are a little bit weaker than the Mecca Knight's big attack, but they come every single turn, so you don't get those setup turns where you get to just relax, play your echo forms and get ready to one-shot it. Like, a few slip-ups in this fight can easily lead you to losing 50 HP. And it starts by hitting you for 30, I'm pretty sure. And it can easily scale up to 40 damage. So you can end up just dying if you have a few bad turns against this thing. It doesn't have that much HP. Usually it doesn't also give you any status effects, I think. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. So you can definitely take it out, but it is a difficult elite to face. I think definitely it's not the hardest in Act 3, but you know, definitely in the top 2. In 3rd place, I have placed the Terror Eel. the terror of the underdogs. I know that I have died to him many times, because you get him to his rage. You think, I need to kill him in 2 turns, and if you cannot kill him in 2 turns, and he got stunned with the vigor, he could hit you for 39 damage in Act 1. Of course, that is conditional, but this elite is absolutely terrifying. It is also another one that keeps on attacking until you get it to half HP, where you get to stun it, and the next turn it does a debuff on you. So that is your angle to like go ham on it. And also the first attacks, the first 2 turns that this thing does are lower damage. I should also mention that it is a little bit nerfed in the beta. If it wasn't nerfed, I would have placed it easily in the first spot. I think it is that oppressive. In second place, it is the Knight trio. These guys have ended so many runs for me. Well, not so many, but a lot of them, and they have done a lot of damage to me as well. Because one of them hits very hard, one of them makes your cards ethereal, and the third one takes your upgrades away. So, you really want to finish the mage guy. I feel like that's the way to fight this fight usually. You want to take out the mage guy before you lose your upgrades, because that is a very big problem in this fight. And of course AoE works on these guys very well. I'm not saying that they are unbeatable, but I feel like this elite is maybe the toughest, like in the later acts. And now, the undisputable, in my opinion, hardest elite in the game, it is the Fantasmal Gardeners. Specifically, the Fantasmal Gardeners in the multiplayer mode. These guys have wrecked me and my brother like 10 times. Because of the fact that they get 15 armor every single turn. Like you proc it, and you need to do 15 damage to do meaningful damage to these things. That is why in the underdogs, basically you're desperately searching for a way to one-shot one of them, or alternatively AoE all of them. Because if you have AoE, this fight is alright. It isn't as easy as the frog, even with AoE, because these things do have more health than the like little parasite things that it spawns. But it's definitely doable with that. You know, some whirlwind action can sometimes one-shot them. But if your deck is not prepared, if you're just running a starter deck out of all of the elites in Act 1, I feel like the Fantasmal Gardeners are the most guaranteed to completely screw you over. Because they hit you very hard, and they scale pretty fast, and you need to do a lot of damage to them, because combined they do have a lot of HP, and then you need to go through the additional armor that they get when you hit them. Poison is very nice against these guys, and Doom as well. You know, sometimes you have like an end of days with the beta. If you have it upgraded, you can absolutely one-shot these guys, and you're just walking out like, that was so easy. But if you do not have it, like, Fantasmal Gardeners are run killers, I think. They are the hardest elite. But, you know, you can disagree in the comments. You can tell me what you think is the hardest. And yeah, that's about all. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.